Hi, it's me, Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and join me at Patreon. Link in the description. He sat down, put on a wig cap, and she did his makeup. He then went and put on his knee-length gray skirt and an off-the-shoulder cranberry sweater. This was a real sharp outfit that he had before he met Masumi, and he really loved it. This was the first time that she had seen it, and she also loved it. He then got the blonde wig, carefully positioned it over the wig cap, and pinned it in place. A few passes with a brush, and it was perfect. Next, he pulled the wedding bands and engagement rings out of the makeup box and slipped them on his left ring finger. Taking the other set, he placed them on Masumi's finger, and she smiled at him. He asked her, "Do you mind if we don't go to a movie tonight? There is something that I'd like to do." "No, honey. That's fine. What do you want to do?" "I promised Carla, the woman that did the girdle, that I'd stop by the shop with you sometime when I was dressed." "That would be great. Maybe we can find an engagement present there. It's about an hour west of here. And we'll stop for dinner on the way." He put on his Mary Janes, and they were out the door. They stopped at a very upscale restaurant and were treated just as they should have been, like two ladies. They finished the drive to Carla's shop and parked in front. There were a couple of shoppers inside, and Carla was busy with one of them. She smiled at them when they walked in, but there was no hint of recognition. They looked around until Carla was finished with the customer. She walked over to them and said, "Is there anything that I can help you ladies with?" Michelle smiled at her and said, "You told me to stop by sometime." Carla looked at her, and her mouth dropped open. The padded panty girdle. "Japanese girlfriend," she said, looking at Masumi, then back at Michelle. "Mike. Right?" "Yes. But Michelle right now," Michelle said with a grin. "My God. You're gorgeous. I would have never known, except for your voice. See, honey, I told you that you were pretty. Now you have a second opinion," Masumi said, with a smile. Carla stood back to take a good look and just shook her head. "I've seen a lot of crossdressers in here and at meetings, and only one was as pretty and passable as you. And that girdle really helps that skirt look good. Thank you again for the compliments and the girdle. And this is my girlfriend, Masumi. Masumi, this is Carla." The girls shook hands and said hello. "I can thank her for making me the girl that I am. She did my makeup. A great job, Masumi. I had a good canvas to work with. You know, Mike, I mean Michelle, if you could learn to change your voice, you could pass anywhere." "I know. And I'd like to be able to do that. But I don't know how," Michelle said. "There are ways. I know of a good speech pathologist that works with the transgendered community. How do I get in touch with them? I'll give you a card with the information on it before you leave. We're also looking for an engagement present for Masumi's sister. I have some very nice things over there. Go take a look. I'll finish with this customer and come back and help you." With that, Carla, still shaking her head, walked over to the other customer. And Michelle and Masumi walked over to look at the gifts. They chose a very nice gift that could be easily mailed to Japan and went to the counter to pay Carla. Carla took another good look at Michelle and said, "You know, now that I look close, there's something else that might give you away." "What's that?" "Your Adam's apple. Yours is small, but if you look close, it's there. Now, I have something that would help conceal it." Michelle looked closely in a mirror that was sitting on the counter and said, "You know, you're right." "What do you have?" "Chokers. They go around the neck and right over where the Adam's apple is. Go look over there and try one." Michelle and Masumi went over to a display case that held chokers and looked them over. Masumi looked at Michelle's neck and said, "She's right. I can see your Adam's apple. And some of these chokers are very pretty. Let's get you one." They looked at a few and finally picked one that was a dark blue velvet ribbon with a small cameo on it. Masumi fastened it around Michelle's neck and they both looked at it in the mirror. Masumi said, "That looks sharp and it does hide your Adam's apple." Michelle wore the choker back to the counter. Carla smiled and said, "That's better, and that one is very pretty. Now, if you can soften your voice, there's no place you couldn't go." "Thank you, Carla. We never noticed the Adam's apple before," Masumi said. They paid for their purchases, said their goodbyes to Carla, and headed home. On the way, they talked over what Carla had told them about the speech pathologist, and Michelle said that she would check out the speech pathologist's webpage. The only thing that worried Masumi was that any change to Michelle's voice would be permanent. Michelle assured her that if it was a permanent change, she wouldn't do it. Classes started on Monday, and they both were taking a heavy class load. So, for the first couple of weeks, the voice pathologist was all but forgotten. One thing Masumi didn't forget was her promise to work with Mike on improving on his limited Japanese. To help him, she tried to only speak to him in Japanese, but also was kind enough to help him when he had problems. So, over the next 4 months, his Japanese improved. In fact, it got so good that most of the conversations between them was in Japanese. Also, there were the makeup lessons. Michelle was a quick learner. After the second week of classes, there was a great need to relax on that weekend, and Masumi wanted to go out with Michelle. So, on Saturday afternoon, Mike, with help from Masumi, was transformed into Michelle. They were going to the mall, then dinner, and a show. After dinner, Michelle was freshening up her makeup at the table when she found the card that Carla had given them in her purse. She looked at it and handed it to Masumi, saying, "I had almost forgotten about this." "Me too. What do you think? When we get home, let's check out the website, and we can see what it's all about." They enjoyed another chick flick, stopped for a light dessert, and headed home. Masumi headed for the computer, sat down, turned it on, and Michelle sat down next to her. She typed in the URL of the website, and in a few seconds the webpage was up. It was a webpage of a Linda McMurphy who was a speech pathologist. It explained all her services and gave a list of her qualifications. There was no mention of voice training for crossdressers, but there was a link called Other. They took that, and sure enough, it was a page explaining her services to the transgendered community. Masumi smiled when she read that it was possible to train the male crossdresser to soften his voice and learn proper feminine phraseology. They talked over calling the speech pathologist and decided that Mike would call her on Monday to find out what services she offered. On Monday, Mike called the speech pathologist and talked with her for a while, telling her what they were looking for. She told him that she thought that she could help, and he set up an appointment with her for the following Monday, when both he and Masumi could go. That night at dinner, they talked over what Mike had found out, and Masumi was excited at the possibilities. The following Monday, they went to see the speech pathologist, Linda McMurphy. She explained to them that she could help him to soften his voice when he wanted to and learn proper feminine phraseology. But in some cases, the softening took quite a while to perfect, and in some cases, it never really worked. But the only way to find out if it would work or not was to try it. And Mike would have to really work on what she showed him. She also explained that the only way to obtain a 100% feminine voice was through surgery, and of course that would be permanent. They discussed everything for a little while and decided to give it a try without surgery. So, they set up a few weekly appointments, beginning the next Monday, to get started. The college semester went along very well. Their grades were again very good. Mike had been very busy, what with classes, learning Japanese and makeup from Masumi, and the voice lessons. Plus, he got a part-time job in the psychology department, helping to run various experiments. This would help them with some expenses as well as save for something important. He had been so busy that he had almost forgotten about Masumi's birthday, which fell on the Friday of final exams week. So, Mike decided to do something special for her. His last final was on Thursday, and she had 2 on Friday. So, this gave him some time to prepare. After she left on Friday, he went grocery shopping. He was going to fix her favorite dinner. He also found a very nice small cake, just enough for the 2 of them. There was going to be a family birthday party at his parents' on Sunday. Also, he went to a small shop that he knew of and purchased a special present. When Masumi came home and walked in the door, she could smell the food cooking. She walked into the kitchen to find Mike hard at work. She walked up behind him and gave him a big hug. He turned around, kissed her, and told her to have a seat at the table while he finished cooking. As they ate, they talked. Masumi said, we need to talk about Sachiko's wedding. It's only a few months away. I know. I hope I can be there. But I don't think my parents can pay for another trip. Don't worry, you'll be there. You're not going to ask your dad, are you? Honey, everyone, Sachiko, Mom, Dad, and Jeremiah, want you there. They feel you're a part of the family. And it's very important to me that you be there. Mike sighed and said, okay. It's no use arguing with you. I lose every time. She kissed him and said, I'll need to leave right after school is out in May to help with the final arrangements. And you can come the week before the wedding. You mean I have to fly by myself again? He said with a fake frown. She punched him in the shoulder. He got up, got the cake, and lit the candles. And sang happy birthday to her in Japanese. She blew out the candles and kissed him again. After they finished the cake, he got up again and came back with a small gift-wrapped box. She opened it very carefully, and inside was a black velvet case. She opened that, and inside was a necklace with a 3-diamond pendant. She said, "It's gorgeous, but you shouldn't have." Yes, I should have. I wanted something pretty for a pretty girl. And remember the instructions that you wrote for opening the wooden box that held my necklace? They said, "My love, as with my heart, there are only 3 simple moves to open the box." So, 3 diamonds. Thank you. I love you so much, she said as she started to cry. He held her and said, I love you very much too. They both cleaned up the dishes and went and sat in the living room. Masumi said, Can we do something? Sure. I want you to be able to wear that little black dress when we're in Japan. There is someone that wants to see you in it. Who? Your mom. Yes, Mom. But there is someone else. It's a secret. I guess it's no use me asking who. You won't tell me. You're right. Okay. I guess I'll have to let you strap me into that black waist cincher. You're so clairvoyant, she said with a grin. Getting up, she took his hand and led him to the bedroom. She continued, Let's put on your padded panty girdle, the waist cincher, and a bra with the forms. Then I can take some measurements and see what we have to do. He sighed a little, but smiled at her. He couldn't help it. She was so cute. He stripped, pulled on a pair of pantyhose, put on the panty girdle, a bra with forms, and handed her the black waist cincher. She wrapped it around him, fastened the busk, and walked around behind him. She began pulling on the laces, making it tighter and tighter. She got it down to where they could get the white waist cincher, and said, This is where the work begins. She had him raise his hands again and take a deep breath. She tightened the laces. She had him take another deep breath and tighten them a little more. Then she said, That's tight enough for now. Are you okay? I can hardly breathe. You'll be fine. Let's see where we're at. She went and got a cloth tape measure and noted the measurements she took. She said, we have some work to do. Your waist is a 30. Top and bottom are good. The waist we need to work on. How much work? Oh, about 3 or 4 inches. 3 or 4 inches. We can't do that. I can breathe now. Yes, we can. You just need to wear this every day. Only for a few hours a day to start with, and then we'll build on that. I hope whoever I'm doing this for will appreciate it. Do I count? Masumi said, with a little pout. I'm going to appreciate it. And so will Mom and the other person. You know you count. And I'll do it for you. Between the end of fall semester and beginning of spring semester, they got Mike's waist down to 27 inches. They also tried the little black dress. They could get it zipped, but it stretched the fabric a little too much. But Michelle liked how she looked in it, so actually worked harder than Masumi wanted him to and able to fit into it. Now, of course, these two continued to participate in their favorite pastime, going out as 2 girlfriends at least once every weekend, if not more. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.